Right. Well, welcome back to CBM Calling on November 17th, episode 91. If you're watching on Facebook, episode 87, if you're watching on YouTube, and we don't know why there's a difference. We had some technical problems, but we think we've sorted it out. It's like chaos of the holidays here online with two producers and Julia and I, and we were doing so great. And then we had some sound issues, but we're back and we're live now. Julia, welcome.
Thank you.
CBM Calling. Nice to see you. You're looking very smart in red, is it? You're so small on the screen. Yes. Dressed up for the occasion. Thank you. And it looks like you decorated for me. Lovely. I also look. We're talking all things Advent and Christmas and holiday traditions. And we're going to talk about what you can also see on your screen right now, which is Advent of Generosity. And Julia has been involved in that. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that means for individuals and for churches. And so since we're going to be focusing on Advent and Christmas, and you're here with us, Julia, as one of the writers on this project, you also wear another hat in our office as the team lead for international programs with your staff, looking after CBM's relationship with its partners and tracking and all the things that need to be done to stay on top of the projects that we support internationally. And as a writer, you and I got a chance to work with you, as it were, just after you had started, way back in, was it March or April? And I was leading chapel, and we did it all online for one of the first times we had chapel online back in the beginning of lockdown. And you did the reflection, and having heard you speak, and you have been a pastor, I was so taken with what you brought to us back in our Lenten reflection time together. And so when I had this opportunity to hit you up as a writer for this, I knew you'd totally deliver. So thank you. And we're going to talk about that. But let's talk about a couple of family and Christmas traditions. You and I pre-call were talking about some of those things. You provided us with a picture. And if I have parts of this story right, it's a Swedish tradition.
Yes.
Highlighting the work of an Italian saint and includes live fire and small children. So I think we have a picture John's going to show for this. Well, you take it. What are we looking at here?
So the picture that you're looking at is a picture of me with real candles that are with real fire on my head, and my sisters and my mormor, which is Swedish for grandma. And this is like a totally normal Advent tradition that probably everyone does, where we would celebrate December 13th as St. Lucia Day by putting fire on the eldest child's head. You put a wet face cloth and a wreath with candles on your head. And then, as if that wasn't tricky enough, in the dark, because you're supposed to do this before the sun came up in the morning, you'd get this tray of Swedish buns, and then you would walk in the dark to the neighbors while balancing fire on your head and singing Swedish Christmas carols.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? And you're like 9 years old. But no, our family, my mom was there, and it was all very safe with that wet face cloth on our heads. But it was really, as a kid, it was wild, but it was also felt very sacred and special. And you're celebrating this woman who in the Roman the Roman community brought food to Christians who were hiding in caves, and celebrating that light coming into darkness. So
that's amazing. Who else is in this picture? You mentioned your grandma.
My sister Lisa is there as well, and my sister Anne, and my mormor.
So great.
Yeah.
And I think you supplied us with another picture. We're going to out you with your picture from Santa. I'm looking for mine, so I had hoped to deliver that, but yeah, it's going to be a deeper dig in my garage to find that.
This was a deep dig, and I thank my parents for their work. But I think this is Christmas 1985. There's almost one. I think we're up at Pioneer Camp for their international Christmas.
That's a suspicious looking beard. That's all I'm saying. That might be. I
don't think it's real.
Yeah, I don't know. Seems like you might know who that is.
I look like I'm also trying to figure that out.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing a couple of those. And like I said, I'm going to have to find mine, because I'm going to have to out myself here on the show of my dated pictures from the 70s on Santa's knee. And we're both expressed our ages online live. Way to go.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay, so I just think I'll give a little bit of setup because I want to talk about your contribution here to this Advent series. So I love Advent and this season of not so much. Well, I know it is a season of waiting. I wouldn't say that I love the waiting part as a child, but growing up in a Presbyterian church, Advent was kind of a big deal. So it's always been part of my lead up to Christmas. And when I joined a Baptist church, they didn't really do Advent as much. It didn't seem quite as significant part of the church calendar. In the church I go to now, it definitely is, which is a Baptist church. So I'm grateful for that. So it is a season of waiting, and I'm wondering about how do you engage in Advent in your life now and as a pastor? What's that meant to you?
Yeah. Well, it's a season that I love. I've always really loved Advent. Maybe it has something to do with getting to have candles on my head as a child, but as a pastor, it can be a busy season for sure as we prepare for Christmas and get all the services with all their special components organized. But it's also one where I love that we get to, through reading the more liturgical elements of the service and lighting candles, we get to invite so many different voices in, and kids get to participate in a new way. And so I've always loved that. And then personally, I have a little Advent tradition that I've been doing for a few years, which I get up before the sun on Sundays, which isn't that hard at this time of year, and especially not if you're a pastor on Sundays. And I light those candles leading up to the 4 weeks. So normally that's on my kitchen table, and I just take that time in the dark and light the candle. And I love the spaciousness of that time of day, and just being able to, how Advent invites us to bring all the stuff that we have, all of our feelings, the gratitude, but also the grief and the longing, and just be able to sit with that with God. So, my experience.
It is a time when you certainly feel like we just changed the clocks just a couple of weeks back, and as you move deeper and deeper into that into the darkness of that season, waiting for the light. Yeah. Well, I'm just going to give a little setup that we have produced a series of reflections similar to what we did last year. So I think we're going to show on the screen. Last year, Cheryl Baird did an exceptional job with us of writing a series of reflections that churches could use in community, obviously, in their services, that had short little videos from Cheryl on each of the themes in Advent, as well as slides and other assets that could be used by churches. And we wanted to keep that tradition going this year. So those assets are available at agoodway.ca and are still available to be used for free if churches are interested in using that and haven't seen that before. We'll post a link to that in the comments. And we are also going to be looking at, if you flip back to this year, we have a new series of Advent called An Advent of Generosity. And Julia, you are the writer of the first reflection in this, which is hope. And so on the screen now, you can see the interface for Advent of Generosity. And how we've structured this is in a couple of ways. So we'll try to break this down so it's clear. Julia's written a reflection, and then there's 4 more reflections that will follow. And they're going to be released on the 24th and every day after, on every Tuesday through Advent, leading up to the Sunday before the Advent. So we'll be starting on the 24th with yours, and that will go out through Prayer Line. So you can sign up to make sure that you receive those in your inbox every Tuesday through Advent. And on the screen here, for what Julie has given us, 2 things. If you click on the link on the right where you can read Julia's reflection, it will bring up in a pop-up window what Julia has written for us. And hang on, let's go back to the other screen, Christine. Yeah, there we go. So hit the read. There we go. So there, you've got a number of ways. This is what's going to come to you in your inbox as text. And then also, I've had a number of folks asking if they could have more audio So Julia, you were very gracious to read your entire reflection, and that's going to be available as part of this series as well. So a lot of times, I mean, we love to read. I'm a reader, but sometimes with reflections, it's really nice just to sit back and hear somebody's voice talking about their experience, and you'll be able to hear Julia deliver her reflection there. And Julia had a piece of artwork in your reflection on hope, and I think John's going to bring that up now. And it's well, you tell us why in your reflection on hope did this picture figure in? How did that happen?
Well, we based our writings off the lectionary, the traditional texts from the lectionary for each week. And one of the texts for the week that I was writing about was Isaiah 64. And it's that famous passage that starts, this cry to God, oh God, that you would tear open the heavens and come down and be present with us. And it's this heart cry that comes out of a dark place. Israel is in a tough spot. It's messy. It's they're in the dirt of life, and God is not present in the way that they're hoping and expecting as they cry out. But then later on in the passage, it says, but you are our Father. We are the clay. You are our potter. We are the work of your hands. And this image immediately came to mind because pottery is this. Such a rich metaphor. The potter, as they make the dish, as they make whatever they're making, gets the mud and the dirt and the mess on their hands as well. They're in it. And yet they're making art. They're making something beautiful out of dirt, out of mud. And not just something beautiful, but something that's also preserving, forgiving. And so you see in this picture, you see the mud on the artist's hands, on the potter's hands, you see the mess of it, but you also see this beautiful vessel, this bowl that's for serving and forgiving. And so I just loved how it tied all of those themes together. And also tied in that theme of generosity. What does it mean, even as we are longing for God's presence and waiting in hard times, to still be able to give? Yeah.
One of the things I noted when I was looking at your reflection in that picture is we always see, as you pointed out, the hands of the potter, and we're always looking kind of at this third person, as opposed to what I was considering is the way that she's rendered kind of the whirling of the wheel. That if you're in that mix, it doesn't look like anything beautiful could possibly be happening. You can only see that from the outside. So it is a season in which we are in a spin in so many ways, and this is going to be a very different Advent for everyone in churches. So yeah, it's hard. It's when we're in that spin, it's hard to see that anything beautiful is actually being created. So yeah, that's
so true.
Yeah. So thanks for that. So yeah. This is one component of Advent of Generosity for this year. So this is how individuals can join in and receive in their inbox these series of 5 reflections, all written by CBM staff. And then I'm going to ask Christine if you want to go to the other page. Oh, we're on it now. So we know that lots of churches need assets at this time because they're doing, most of them are doing their services still online. So Julia's been very gracious, along with the other writers, to actually write up a little bit of a liturgy, a responsive reading that churches can use. And so there's, on the screen that I'm seeing, there is JPEG files you can download. You can download the PDF files. There's a full PowerPoint there. And Julia's responsive reading, she's been very kind enough to record that as well. So as we're building out these assets, churches will be able to, and they can do it now and see what those assets are going to look like, the responsive readings that go along with each week in Advent. So we are giving this out today. You and I are having this conversation while it's still kind of in build format. So it will all be up by the end of this week. And when you are on here, you will find this by going to Build Your Own Sunday from our homepage on our site. On the Build Your Own Sunday page, there is a link to the Advent of Generosity, and that will, oh, here we go. Here we go. So there it is. Yeah, that's the Build Your Own Sunday page. And when you click on that link, it takes you to all the assets. And as we flesh this out, we will have, if churches want to possibly publish or share the personal reflections will be posted in these here as well, so churches can make use of that. So I think I don't think we have the audio to be able to play of you reading together. I know John's still working on that. I thought we might have that. So Julia, I think that kind of covers it. I'm trying to think of who else. I mean, the other writers coming up behind you, I'll be interviewing Carla in a couple of weeks. Carla Nelson wrote #2 on peace, and for the work that she does with Gatto around peace building. What are you going to be doing as you look forward to more Christmas traditions? Like, what's that going to look like for you? You started to figure that out?
Yeah, we're talking about this as a family. I think it's going to look really different this year. It's probably going to be pretty quiet, which is actually really nice. So I don't know exactly what it will look like yet, as we all keep an eye on travel restrictions and, bubble restrictions, but I'll probably bubble up with, if that's a phrase, with someone in my family and join in with them for Christmas morning.
Is there somebody who's going to get that candelabra on their head this year in your family?
I think so, but I'm hoping as my nieces and nephews get older that we can carry on this tradition, but they got to get a little bigger first.
Yeah, right on. Well, Julia, I want to thank you for being with me today and for talking about generosity. And I want to also express my gratitude with a Christmas present to you. And I'm just going to get it. Hang on. I will bring this to your office. I'm going to force you to become a coffee drinker. So I've bought you, as my gift to you, thank you for doing this, a pound of Collective Cup coffee.
I'm excited, Gordon.
If you're interested in getting coffee, this makes a great Christmas gift. Here's a plug, but you can see on your screen there. If you go to our store, you can order Collective Cup coffee and have it delivered. And if you order 5 pounds, this is one 5-pound bag, and 5 pounds will ship free anywhere in Canada. Just make sure you click the free shipping at the bottom when you get it. So Julia, I hooked you up with a pound of coffee.
That's great. You're going to have to teach me how to make it.
I will, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay, great.
We've talked about this. So I'm going to make sure that, you get set up with that. So thank you. I'll bring that in. I'll leave it in. I'll leave it on your desk sometime.
Awesome. Excited for that.
Really grateful for your participation with us and the staff to create the Advent of Generosity resource. So thanks again.
My pleasure. Thanks, Gordon.
And so that will bring us to the end of today's show for CBM Calling. Next Tuesday, I hope you come back. Jennifer Lau will be speaking to Elijah Brown from the BWA about the work that the BWA does. That's Baptist World Alliance. And Elijah's been a huge champion of religious freedoms in his ministry, and that continues. So they'll be talking about religious freedom. That'll be interesting conversation. And then just a plug for my show after that, in 2 weeks, I'll be talking to Carla Nelson, who has written for Advent of Generosity about the generosity of peace. So we'll look forward to seeing you back here and talking more about Christmas and Advent. God bless. Bye for now.